Hello and welcome to stampingcatcrew.com. Today we're going to make a Christmas card, and one of the things we're going to do is we are going to use some glimmer paper, which is this. This one happens to be called Dazzling Diamonds, but anything that is a glimmer paper would work. One of the interesting things about glimmer paper is you can change the color of it, and so a lot of people don't think about that. Some of the things that we're going to be working with is some navy colored ink. And what I've done is I've taken navy ink, just a re-inker, any brand, and I've used a spritz bottle. And I've got actually some rubbing alcohol in here, but you can do it with water as well, and you can change the color. So the colors we're going to be working with today are kind of a navy blue and a white. And I just wanted to show that there are so many things you can do with shimmer paper that are pretty fun and amazing. So we're going to make a Christmas card using negative space. The punch that I'm going to use is a cat shape. Any shape punch would work great. I love the idea of using negative space, which just gives a hint of what it is that you are working with. And I'm going to center the kitty in that moon that we're going to have, and that is him punched out. So we still have the kitty shape left, but the part that we're going to work with is actually this part that's left. So what it is it's hinting at the image that's there. So I'm going to take some dimensionals. They're foam adhesive dots that pop up a shape. They come in a lot of different sizes. So I'm going to put some bigger ones around the inside, and then I have a smaller size as well. We're going to add those just around here. I want to give some good stability to my image, especially where you have some of the little points coming down. And so that's that. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my navy ink and a sponge. And I'm going to do a little bit of sponging around the edges, because we want this to have some color. And I always tell people, keep a piece of scratch paper next to you, and I have one right here. And I don't know if you can see very clearly, when you first ink up something and you start sponging, it often will leave some little streaks here. And so what you want to do is get this smooth look right here. So before you get going, you're going to want to take most of the ink off, and we're just wanting to ink around the edges. So this is the other thing you can do with paper like this, with glimmer paper, and a lot of people don't think about it. You can actually sponge directly to the paper and give some depth to that. I really like cards that have depth and dimension. If you've watched any of my YouTube video tutorials, you'll know that I like cards that have motion. I like things that have a lot of layers. The tutorial that we're going to do today is actually a very simple tutorial. It's going to be easily reproducible, which especially during Christmas time is pretty important. So, like I said, one of the tricks to sponging, and I see this a lot, is people will start sponging and they just start in the middle of the page, and you end up with these lines. And what I'm trying to show is once you have this on your sponge and you're rubbing, that goes away, and what you're left with is that really pretty kind of blendable color. So pretty important. I'm going to set that aside and close the blue for a minute. We are going to use it actually, and so I'm going to save my scratch paper because we're going to be stamping off the edge a bit. So these are the components of the card that I'm going to use to put together right now. The stamp set that I'm going to use has some elements from Christmas. It uses a swish, which is kind of a constellation. It's a really soft look, which I like. And then the only other elements I'm using is a sentiment for the inside and the back of the card. I have done some circle framelits, and this one happens to be roughly about 3 inches. And that's what I used to cut out that original circle. And then we punched the kitty out of that circle that we had. So I am going to get the foam mat that I've been using. Anytime that you use a photopolymer stamp set, and what those are the ones that you can see all the way through, they don't have any sponge like a red rubber stamp does, where it has that cushion inside. They are just photopolymer and they attach directly to your block. So having a base underneath that is this foam gives it some give, and it really gives you a nice crisp stamped image. So I'm going to show you an example of that. I'm going to use this stamp for both the navy color and also for some white, which is a craft ink. So it's a different kind of ink. It dries much more slowly, and it's really good for doing, say, heat embossing. You can add any color to this craft ink and set it with a heat gun, and you'll be good to go. So I'm going to take this right now. I'm just going to ink up this image, and you want to have just a bit, and we're going to go straight down with even pressure and straight back up, and it's going to leave that really pretty kind of look. And what I tell people is always make sure to make the inside of your cards pretty, and so we're going to do the same for the inside of the card. We're going to ink this up, and we know this is going to kind of go right across the bottom on the inside, straight down and straight back up. And then we also have a sentiment for the inside. And so I'm going to go ahead and do this at the same time, and then I'm going to set this aside to dry. To even this out, hopefully you will be able to see. And because it's photopolymer, I can see directly through, and going straight down and straight back up, that leaves that nice image there. Setting that aside, we are actually done with the blue ink, and because we're going to reuse that swish that we used, I'm actually going to pull out some cleaner, which I have right here. It is a scrubbing pad, so lots of companies have this, and then I have a spray cleaner, and I'm going to clean the swish that I used. And that way it's going to be ready for the white craft ink that we're going to do next. So this is basically going to be the front of our card right here. And I'm going to do a little bit of stamping off to make sure we're starting with a clean surface. I'm going to open up my white craft ink right here. And then I'm going to turn this a couple directions. We want to get really nice even coverage, and one of the tricks about this is you don't want to just put all your pressure on it. It's a nice even pressure. You're just trying to get an even color coverage here. And it's going to look like a starry sky, and so we're wanting to do a placement about here. Even pressure, don't rock. You're going to go straight down and straight back up like that. Then the sentiment that we have is going to go in the bottom right here. And I always like to turn my ink pad a bit and ink it from some different directions, because often you end up inking in the same place, and that can make a difference. So ink this up nicely. We're going to put this in the bottom right hand corner here. And like I said, we're going to go straight down and straight back up. And that's going to be our card front. We are done with the white, so I'm going to close this up and set that aside. The next components of our card are our card base. And I wanted to do a portrait, which to me is the up and down orientation. So you start with an 11" by a 4 1/4. It's scored and folded at 5½ inches. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up those edges really nicely. And what I think makes a really big difference is to take a bone folder and make sure and have a really crisp edge there, which helps your card to lay flat and it looks really nice. So I've done some paper for the inside, which we already did some stamping on. It's this one right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some adhesive around the inside right here. And then we're going to center that right on here. Like that. So that's going to be the inside of our card. We have a white layer for the front of our card as well. I'm going to add some adhesive down the inside of this. And I'm going to go ahead and center that right here. And then our final part is the card front. It's actually going to be centered right here, but I have some ribbon and some embellishments that I want to add. And so one of the things that I'm always careful to do is think about the layers before I start to put them down. And I know that I want this ribbon to wrap around the back. So for me, I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to go around the 4 corners, just like that. And then I'm going to take my ribbon, and it is actually a seam binding ribbon. So it's a little crinkly. You can do that with a lot of different kinds of ribbon, actually. Even like a satin ribbon, if you heat set it with a gun a little bit, you can kind of get that crinkly look. And it's really fun to play with a lot of the different textures and looks that you can get. It makes your supplies go much further, and you get more bang for your buck, so which is always kind of nice. So I'm going to center that right there. And then we have our kitty that we've done as a negative space. And we added some dimensionals on the back. So we're going to take the little protective coverings off those so they'll be sticky. And we want that offset a little to the right because we're going to have some embellishments. So we're going to have it about here. There's our kitty. So this is a punch done with negative space, which I love, love, love the looks of. The other thing we're going to do, I have cut some mini sequined trim in silver, and I'm actually going to use a glue dot to attach that down. And first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a glue dot right underneath here, and I'm going to make that a little bit thinner right there, and that's where I'm going to put our embellishments. So that's a little trick without tying some twine around that. Then I have my mini sequins, and what I want is to have both sides that are the pretty sides facing up. So I want to be careful how I attach my glue dot and attach the embellishment to have it lay nicely, because we want to have it so that the pretty side is up on both directions. So we're going to have it just like this. And then our final part is our bow, which is right here. I'm going to add that. We've done that with some silver ribbon. And then that's our card. It's super cute, super simple, and that's it. Have a wonderful day and happy creating.